I have been waiting for this moment for so long to have this conversation. And because of scheduling and da 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 da, finally it's happened. I cannot wait for you to meet someone that I consider to be truly an extraordinary human being and absolutely one of my favorite people. And I don't just say that, I really mean one of my favorite people. This lady is awesome, and be prepared, I promise you, to fall in love immediately. Immediately. So I want to introduce you to a very, very special guest. Her name is Miss Elissa Miller. She's a highly accomplished real estate investor, but not just a highly accomplished real estate investor. She's someone that is doing, when I say how, people say that they're accomplished, but then there are people actually like legitimately accomplished. You're talking about someone who took $35,000 in debt, credit card debt, all that other stuff. And through just sheer brilliance, she told me that she's transacted over $40 million in real estate, not using any of her own money, was part of the largest residential real estate transaction for the state of Ohio, has bought and sold hundreds of units or currently owns hundreds of units in real estate. This lady has achieved financial independence by the age of 41. And it's like it's one thing when you hear these stories, but when you actually know it's legit, it's a very, very different experience. And so Elissa Miller, I'm thrilled. You and I have been talking about this for months, and finally it's here. So it is great to see your beaming face. And I know you're going to give people insane amounts of value. I've kind of given your highlight reel of some of the things that you've accomplished, but I think it's important. You and I were talking, and you made a comment about just the trajectory you were on and how that made a shift. And I'm going to ask you one other question, so please go right ahead. What was that trajectory you were on before?
So I was in high school. I wanted to be a school psychologist, and I wanted to help kids, and I wanted to counsel kids. So that's what I went to school for. Yeah. And my junior year of college, I interned with one. And she was like, "Oh, no, we don't do counseling. We do tests and then analyze the paperwork." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not what I want to do. I'm in the wrong spot, and I'm almost at the end of my junior year of college." So I was like, what am I going to do now? Yeah. And I was coaching volleyball and high school basketball at the time, and had relationships with some of the girls on the team. And I thought, maybe I can be kind of a mentor in that capacity. Well, coaches don't get paid, but they teach and coach. So I decided I was going to kind of swing it around and be an English teacher and be a coach, and then I could mentor kids that way. And so I graduated from Purdue University with degrees in psychology, sociology, and English, which sounds really good, except I was just confused the whole time. But what I found after I graduated, so I bartended through the last half of my college years.
I know that.
Because that's how I created my income during that time as a bartender. And when I got to the end of had my degree, and I was going to go start my life in the world, and I was making more as a bartender than I could using my degree.
Wow.
And I was like, well, heck, life threw me another curveball. Wow. And yeah, so the year after college, I was still bartending because that's what I knew how to do, and it was paying the bills. And my dad was like, "Hey, there's a real estate meeting going on. Do you want to come to sit in on it with me?" And I was like, "Well, the party doesn't start until 10:30, so okay, sure."
How old are you at this point?
I was 21.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we went to this meeting, and there was a guy there, and he was like, "I'm going to show you how you can make $5,000 in 2 weeks with no money and no credit." And I was like, I have no money. I have no credit. $5,000 in one spot in my life before. So tell me what I need to do.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of my real estate journey.
21.
So, yes.
Wow.
Yes. And bought my first property when I was 22. So there was a learning curve. There was, buying and studying. And so I did that for about 6 months. And then I spent maybe another almost 6 months making offers that didn't get accepted because I was new at this. So it was probably about a year. It was about a year later that we got our first deal under contract. And I mean, it was one we were going to fix and sell. And we did. I was working with my father, and we did that. And we sold this property. We bought it, we fixed it, and we sold it 72 days later. And it hit the MLS. And 4 hours later, we had a more than full price offer. And I made like $25,000. And I was like, oh, how many times can we do this? Oh,
22.
yes. Yes,
Okay.
at 22.
Because I know what I was like at 22. I know what I was like. I was not necessarily let's just say as focused. How did you know? Like, how did you know this would be it for you? Like, because at 21, 20, I know a lot of 21, 22-year-olds, and just the step out of their parents' house is like a really big deal, right? You are becoming like a real legit entrepreneur, lots of money on the table. How did you know that this is going to work for you?
I was surrounded by other people who had done it, and anytime you surround yourself with people who've already done it, you know that the path is there. And if you surround yourself with people that are willing to show you, then it makes it so much easier to walk down that path. And I was, surrounding myself with people who had done it, and people that, I look back on it now, and I was like mesmerized with their success. And I was like, oh, this guy, he owns 10 houses. And
Oh,
here I am now, I have like 300, but at the time, that seemed like a lot coming from where I was. And, and they, I had a lot of good mentorship along the way. And that, made it possible, really.
so already anyone that's watching this should already get that if you go and you look at people talk about what they've done in any career or industry, so many times, like there's this weird segment of people now that want to communicate that they're self-made. And I love that one of the very first things you talk about is that village, that like tribe of success that you were part of, and how, because other people don't give people credit. They're like, oh, I did this all on me, it's all my thing. I love that you give that away for other people to really understand. But taking that leap, you're in your early 20s.
Mhm.
Did you have had any idea? Like, I mean, we talk about things like the law of attraction, visualization, and all that. Did you have any idea it would turn into what it's turned into so far?
Oh my goodness, no. In my biggest dreams back then was to pay off my debt. I had $35,000 worth of credit card debt when I graduated, so I wanted to pay that off. And then if I could have like $5,000 a month that I could figure out how to make, I was going to be all gravy. It didn't, no, I had no clue where this was going. And if you would have told me, I wouldn't have believed it, that I would have had this level of success. So I'm glad I didn't know, but I'm glad I'm here.
How about that?
Yeah.
You just like stayed faithful to the process, right? And one deal, another deal, another deal. So people, you and I had a conversation one time, and you're talking to me about, people that reached out to you and asked you for advice and, guidance, and said, can you show me how to do this? And you've done it. You said, so many people don't do anything with the information of the coaching you've provided. Why is that? Why do you think so many people that you've tried to help haven't taken action?
James, the number one thing is fear. It's just fear. People have an idea of where they want to go. People have the path of how they're going to get there. They know the people that can help them get the path. And for whatever reason, they're afraid. And it's not even necessarily afraid of failure. Some people are afraid of success, which sounds insane, but it's true. There's people that are afraid that if they reach some level of success, that their friends or their family are going to treat them differently. I know
Mhm.
I've had conversations with my husband about that, that he feels that if people from when he was younger knew where he is now, that, they'd be knocking on his door for handouts, so, but I think people are afraid of failing. And you can't have success. You just can't have success unless you're willing to say, yeah, I might fall. but I might fly, and not, and I wish we could all be children, right? Because I watched my little ones learn how to walk, and they are surrounded by people who walk, so they know the freedom that walking provides for them, and they fall and they bust their head on the table when they do it, and what do? They get back up because they want the freedom of being able to walk on their own. And if we
Oh,
could all just kind of like harbor that as adults and be like, yeah, you might skin your knee, but that freedom, that sweet freedom, is so worth it. Skin your knee so that you can get there. It's just worth it.
lady, at this point, someone has just gotten a moment that I just got. You just dropped another bomb, because that is so. What a great, what a great example. What a great analogy. So you've clearly scraped your knee and you're flying now. So for someone that is who wants to be financially free, and there's so many different lanes, right, you can take to get there, right? How do they need to think in order to cross over from that fear line to the fly line? How what are there books you recommend? Are there, like, what do you say? Like, I want, if that person wants to hop over to that other side thinking, and maybe they're not in a community of people, because I find that a lot. They're not in a community that's, oh, you can do it, we believe in you. They're in a community like, go sit down somewhere with yourself. What would you say for them to make that, to get them over that line?
I would say, I've even had people in my life. I'll tell you, my first husband, I said first, because he's not there anymore. But we got married when I was 24. So I had already started my real estate. He knew I
Yeah.
was in real estate. Now I wasn't wildly successful at 24. I was still bartending. I had done a little bit of this. And at one point he said to me, I think you should stop what you're doing and get a real job and help support, the family. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm building this business and I'm bartending. I'm doing both of these things. And, I'm going to be a millionaire someday. And you know what he said to me? He said, I'm never going to be a millionaire. And you know what? He was right. He was never a millionaire. He was totally
Wow.
right. I went on without him. And I'm not saying divorce your spouse. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that you should have somebody in your ear that has done it and believes you can do it, to remind you that it's possible, because so many people most people are not going to have the vision you have. Most
Mm,
people aren't, because most people are comfortable in their uncomfortableness, because it's the devil. They know how to live paycheck to paycheck, so they're not going to risk what's beyond that.
right.
It's
Right.
scary. So have somebody that you know in your circle that's on a similar mental path. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is that there are absolutely going to be hurdles. There are going to be times when you question whether you can do it or not. I 2008 and 2009, when the housing market crashed, I already had millions of dollars of property at that time. I was already considered successful in my field at that time, and I thought I might have gone under. I was like, I don't know. I don't see the way out. I don't know how this is going to happen. This is bad, bad. I could always go back to bartending, and I was like, I'm too down this road. I can't work for anybody else at this point, you know. But and what you do is you steel yourself and say, you know what, I can't see the path right now. I can't see the whole path, but I'm just going to take another step forward in the direction of where I want to go. And I'm going to trust that as I keep stepping forward into that darkness, that the light is going to light up the path as I need it to. So you have to have that kind of faith and belief in yourself, and that persistence, and to just never, never, never give up. Because as you're on this path, there's just going to be major hurdles. And there's going to be people that are going to make you think that you're crazy for believing it. But you want more for yourself. You want more for yourself, and they don't want that for themselves. So that's fine. Let them sit in their uncomfortableness, but you know you want more, and just take that next step into the darkness, and I promise the light will shine when it needs to shine. You just have to, believe in yourself, believe in your desire and your ability to create what you're thinking about.
See why I love this lady? You see what I mean? I get to, I feel so blessed that I have someone like this in my cell phone. You know what I mean? Like, this is, when you look at the quality of your life are the quality of your relationships and the people that are in your life. And so many times I've heard you, because you and I have worked together for almost a year now. Um, we do a call, we do a Zoom, and there's just these moments, and I say to myself, man, I wish other people could hear what I just heard, because for the right person, whoever that right person is, it makes such a difference. And as you're speaking, I know bells are ringing right now in people's heads, and people are really thinking. You talk to me about not conforming into a box, and even in real estate, people could fall into just a habitual way of being. And when you and I started working together, you came up with this concept that was so outside the box for real estate investors and their NOI and just their cash flow and things like that. And it's so revolutionary. And like, you figured it out in like a week. It was like, how have you been able to, like, a couple of things. Number one, how have you been able to stay thinking outside the box? And number two, what do you think what you've come up with, how do you think it's going to transform the industry just in real estate in general? So those two questions.
Okay, so I think the way I stay thinking out of the box in all aspects of my life is that when I have something new that's presented to me, I think about, how can I make this work, when most people think about how this isn't going to work. So I don't want to think about how it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I can already tell you 1,000 different ways it's not going to work. I need to find the way it is going to work. And there's always a way that it's going to work. You just got to look for it. So when I saw, the business that you and I have been working this last year, and I first saw it, I was like, okay, so I already know that some people have tried it this way. So let me not think about that. How can I make this work? It just kind of, like I said, the light shined on the path, because that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the way to make it work. And not only did it work, but holy cow, after I kind of thought about it, I'm like, I just need to take this ship that's going this way, and we're going this way now, because this is just so financially revolutionary. And it's making me so much money.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Right on all accords. Correct. Okay, so man, you are so great. You're so great. I think there's just like one more thing that I thought of when we were putting this together was, we talk about like that whole way of being. I see the way you are, like how committed you are as a mom. I've met Dan. I see how committed you are as a partner. I've seen how committed you are in business. And you really come from this amazing place of abundance. I mean, like, there's a difference between people that speak abundantly and perform acts of abundance. And I've like consistently see you do things that are not for profit, not for personal benefit. I've seen this lady, commit to donate monies that she didn't have to donate to organizations just because she felt the right thing to do, not from a tax break standpoint, just like, hey, I want to see these people succeed, so if you could, because I think that's such an important part of who you are as a person, and some other people aren't necessarily that way. They become very successful and become a lot tighter with the information and a lot tighter with who they're being. You're so open with it. Why? How, why? Or why, how?
Why, how? Well, I mean, it's a mindset. Abundance is a mindset. And, we have a motto in our family that I, even teach my children. And it's very simple. It's, we have more than enough. And it applies to whatever it is. We have more than enough space in our house if somebody has to spend the night here. We have more than enough food. We always have more than enough food. I have more than enough time to spend with my children. I have more than enough, whatever it is. We always have more than enough. And when you have more than enough, it is your duty and your responsibility to share. And when you do share, I feel that the universe, God, higher authority, whatever it is, sees what you are doing with the gift that you have been blessed with and will always bless you with more, always bless you with more. So, anytime, I've had times, when money's tight and, I'm at the grocery store and the lady in front of me, her card gets declined. She's got $100 worth of groceries and a 4-year-old little boy there. And she's like panicking. And yeah, it's tight for me too, but I'm not that tight. So I'm just gonna, let me swipe that card for you. And, it doesn't come back dollar for dollar. I'll tell you that. It comes back 10,000 per dollar. When you're talking financially and when you talk about time. And so, the abundance mentality, you have to have an abundance mentality if you want to attract more in your life.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Elissa Miller, first of all, I know I could be on the Zoom with you for like 3 days. I know I could be doing this video for like 3 days. I know I could, because you're just that awesome. You really are. And I'm so grateful that, number one, that you took this time that you did to have this conversation. And number two, I'm excited for the lives that are going to be blessed from it, just by your perspective on things. And if there's, there are certain people that I would say are they show up and they set your thinking on another level just by who they are being, not by what they're saying. And you are that person. Your being is a next level being. And I'm just grateful. I'm so grateful that I made that phone call. I'm so grateful you picked up that phone. And I'm so grateful I get to work with you and I get to be a part of this journey and just see who you are, because you are truly a life changer in so many different ways. So just thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's, I love knowing you. You've done wonderful things for my life as well, and helped introduce me to so many wonderful people that I consider my friends. And, this has been just a great journey, not just financially, but for my mental health and my well-being. And it's good.
For you do that for all of us. That is for sure. I really appreciate you. I just encourage, I encourage every human being to find themselves in Elissa Miller. If you don't, you need to find Elissa Miller because you are rare. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you so much, and God bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Time to learn about how incredible you were, nothing would ever stop you.